Hey guys, welcome back to On the Grid, and in today's video I wanted to talk a little bit about where we are in the world of Automobilista 2 currently. Recently there's been a few new releases around the GT3 cars, specifically the Mercedes, Porsche, McLaren, and the newly added BMW. GT4 cars have been added, and tracks such as Bathurst, Hockenheim, and Nürburgring, as well as others that are sure to come down the road. The other day, while browsing the multiplayer lobbies, I noticed something that kind of made me stop and think, and that is the amount of lobbies that were based around the GT3 cars. I even found myself falling into the same trap because it was familiar. I knew the lobbies would have a decent amount of players, so of course I jumped into those lobbies before anything else. And that had me thinking of what could end up happening to a game that had my interest from early on before release, and I had mentioned in multiple videos previously. You know, the real reason I was attracted to Automobilista 2 from the get-go, regardless of the bugs, the issues, development progress, and just overall lack of activity in multiplayer, was the uniqueness of what it was offering. It had a variation of cars and tracks that were not available in other sims, and yes, it might be heavy on South American based tracks, but it was still providing something fresh to the sim racing genre. And that's really what attracted me to it from the beginning. Now, what I worry might happen and could happen is more and more players are going to start focusing on the common series like GT3, GT4, etc., and forget about the other special characteristics that AMS2 provides. There's some really interesting cars and fun cars that provide really great multiplayer races. And so what I wanted to do is just kind of go through some of the cars that I really enjoy, and hopefully we don't lose that interest and sway towards the more popular series in most sim games. So without further ado, let's take a quick look. So one of those car series is definitely the Copa truck. This is probably one of the ones that I found the most challenging because it's like this massive horsepower, and there's really kind of a steep learning curve into understanding how to get control of these trucks, especially going into turns, because a lot of times I find that it's not about how much you're turning into the corner, it's how you're using the power to get in and out of those corners. And so this series I found I've jumped into a couple of multiplayer sessions where this has been super fun, but I was a bit too amateur, to say the least, on jumping into a multiplayer session with these guys who have experience running these. So I've had to spend a lot more time getting the hang of these and getting over that learning curve. So definitely the Copa truck is a fun one, and I really enjoy driving these. So another series that I've probably had some of my most fun multiplayer races is definitely the Copa Fusca. This hot car series is probably one of the most fun ones for the fact that you can just go toe to toe with somebody. You can get up there and rub bumper to bumper and not worry about this car just spinning out and flipping. And it's nimble, it's tough, it's got a little bit of power to it, a decent amount of power to it. It's not massive powered, but if you just want to get on track and have some good competitive multiplayer races, these are definitely great cars to take. And definitely stock cars in this game is really good. They have the 2020 version, they have the stock car Corolla, and then they have the Super V8s as well. You get a really nice variation of cars in this track, and Super V8s or stock cars in general are really well liked, pretty much globally. And I think Reza has done a really nice job in this game of creating that immersion and what these cars should feel like, and the weight and balance of them. Yeah, definitely a lot of power in here. You can see there is spinning out. You get these on tracks like Adelaide or Bathurst, or the traditional Super V8 tracks or stock car tracks, and you can have a blast with them for sure. Another one of my classic favorites, or my classic go-tos in this game. And another thing that Reza does really well is formula cars for sure, and the prototype cars. The Metal Moros and the Judds and the Hondas and the different variations of these cars that they have in the game, from P1s, 2s, 3s, and P4s. I think that's one thing that Reza is really well at, is making these types of cars. And so definitely the Metal Moro is a really nice fun car to have, especially when you want to do some endurance racing or some 2-3 hour races. These are really great to have as well. And I mean, all different kinds of different variations that really give an interesting appeal to many different types of disciplines. So, you know, you pretty much have everything, something for everyone in this game. So aside from cars, tracks are definitely, you know, a strong point of Automobilista 2. They give you a really nice mix, a unique mix of tracks that, you know, are not seen in many games. And that's kind of what like I was saying earlier, is what really attracted me to this game. And the fact that, you know, they have Adelaide and some of the really great historic tracks, it just provides for a nice, interesting mix of car and track combos. And Adelaide, I mean, I absolutely love this track, not only for the Super V8s on here, but things like, you know, the sprint race. These are great cars to have, to be taking on this, especially with those massive high curves that just will throw you off in a second if you don't be careful. As you see there, everybody just kind of flying over them. So yeah, so definitely Adelaide is probably one of my favorites. Reason I always find myself in one of these multiplayer rooms on this track with a huge mix of cars, whether it be, you know, the stock cars, the formula cars, even the sprint race, and these Pumas. It seems like to be a really popular track, and we end up a lot of times having some really fun racing on this track. It's just got this really nice flow to it. It's kind of these long, constant sweeping turns left and right, and then you get a couple of really short type corners, which, you know, if you overshoot it, you know, you end up losing momentum getting out into the next straight, and that's where a lot of the overtake happens. Like specifically right here is really good, this sequence of corners. Exactly like what's happening there. Someone went off the track, and it's just really great sections for overtaking. So there's definitely a lot of overtaking opportunities on this track. And yeah, another one that I really enjoy doing multiplayer races on. One other thing that is a really interesting selling point for Automobilista 2 is the various historic track versions that they provide in this game. I mean, everything from, you know, Kyalami, this 76 version, which is really great. I think I remember when I went on the website and I was looking to see what tracks would actually be included in this game, and I saw the fact that they had this old historic version of Montreal. I was just like, right away, that's amazing that they actually put that in there, because a lot of times you don't even get the Montreal circuit in many games, let alone having, you know, a couple of older layouts or an older layout of it. And so that immediately I was like, okay, so they have historic versions of these tracks, and I love historic versions of all the tracks like Monza and Imola and, you know, all these different circuits like Silverstone and so forth. So yeah, it was another interesting selling point for me, and it's not a matter of the most popular cars and tracks. It was just the fact that they offered something different, and I really enjoyed that. So another track that I've talked about previously was the 76 layout of Interlagos, and this is the outer loop of Interlagos, which is, and with these Montanas, or some really crazy racing can happen with this, and especially with this kind of weather, like, definitely can be quite hairy. And if you're gonna watch these puddles building up around here, or you just spin right out. So yeah, it's definitely a blast. I mean, this weather, these cars, this track with an outer loop, it's almost like a stock car oval. And yeah, definitely have some really fun times with this one as well. And last but not least, I would say my all-time favorite is the 1988 Imola historic version. There's something about this track. I mean, much like the Interlagos 76 version, those two tracks in this game are kind of like magnets for me. I just do I'll do test drives, I'll do single player races, I'll do multiplayer races, whatever. Anytime I see Imola historic or an Interlagos historic, I definitely, you know, jump in, and I know it's going to be fun and it's going to be great racing. So this was probably, I would say, if I look at my top 2 or top 3 tracks, I would say the Interlagos historic is number 2, and this is number 1 of my favorite tracks, and Adelaide would probably be my number 3 favorite track in this game. So yeah, so definitely Imola historic version, the Interlagos 76 version, and the Adelaide version. Probably, yeah, definitely hands down my 3 favorite tracks in this game. And with the BMW Pro car, you can't beat it. So So I didn't really want this to be a long drawn out video, but really what I want to do is hope that we not forget the unique flavors that Reza has put together in a sim that I think is just getting better and better with every update. And, you know, I just hope that we don't kind of gravitate towards the popular, common, everyday series that we see in each game, and continue to focus on some of these great cars, these great combos, you know, car track combos in this game, what it can, you know, the uniqueness that it does provide. And so that's kind of really what I want to do, is just share this video with you on my thoughts about, you know, making sure we, you know, really keep to what was special about this game. I mean, I love that chicane right there. It's probably one of my favorites. And so, as always, guys, I appreciate you watching. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll catch you guys again soon. Take care.